So fun fact for all of you, there's 2.8 million licensed agents right now in the US. Now, we all know that that 2.8 number doesn't necessarily correlate to who sells houses. What's more interesting is NAR is now down from 1.4 to 1.35 million, right? So that's an interesting stat that NAR is going backwards in terms of headcount. But inside of the MLS, the thing that I pay attention to the most, and I'm going to show you some slides around this in a second, there is just shy of 1.6 million agents in the MLS. Now, would it shock you to hear that in the last 12 months, of the agents in the MLS, now we know there's some open doors inside there, some non-traditional real estate agents are certainly inside there. Let's say 10,000 of them away and say it's 1,590,000 agents. Of that group, only 860,000 have closed a transaction in the last 12 months. Think about that just for a second. 2.8 million. NAR says they've got 1.35 million. The MLS says we've got 1.6 million MLS subscribers. Take 10,000 non-agents out of the mix, and still 860,000 people that are in the real estate business have closed one or more transactions in the last 12 months. I think that's an interesting number, especially as we've all transitioned 90 to 120 days ago into this new market. So I'm going to show you guys you guys put up my slides real fast there. I'm going to give you guys some insight, and we definitely need to move that out of the way. I appreciate it, Brandon. Thank you. Like Chris mentioned, I'm super active on social. If you hit me up on Instagram or Twitter, I am the only person that's responding that. You'll know because I speak almost purely in emojis and hearts and fire and, let's go. And, lots of interactions, same thing in DM. So if we haven't connected there, let's make sure we do that. But back to that conversation around 860,000 active agents, meaning active, they've closed a transaction in the last 12 months. I am fascinated. And you saw it if you were paying attention as I would to the chat. The best agents, and I'm putting all of you in that category, the best agents are showing up, are innovating, are going to more training because they're looking for the edge right now. So I think first and foremost, we should give Ojo just a giant round of applause for doing this for us, right? Giving us this exposure and opportunity for all of us, and to all of you for being who you are, especially a bunch of my, personal clients out there that I saw checking in with me. Now, the question then becomes, where do you rank currently in your MLS? And you might say, well, why does this matter? Well, I want you to consider that last year with 6.12 million homes sold in the US times 2, remember, for transactions, buy side, sell side. This year, we're pacing 5.4 million transactions. So we're pacing less transactions, which everybody's clear on. That's happens in a high inflation market. It happens in a, increased interest rate environment. It doesn't necessarily happen in a recession, but we'll get to that in a minute. But what I still want to point out is it's clearly the rich and the rest right now in the real estate industry. So I'm about to get, Chris, and I'll send this to you as soon as I get it, the first 6 months of the year numbers. I'm going to show you like some trailing data that I think is interesting. So my buddies over at Real Data Solutions or Real Data Strategy, they study the MLS and they're able to give me all these correlations. And I take these correlations and I share them with agents like you. So you understand that when I say the industry is truly the rich and the rest, the rich group is getting bigger and the rest is really getting bigger, AKA people that say they're an agent, but aren't actually selling houses, which means even less competition for you and even less because of the environment we're now in. Now, with that said, if you take a look at this slide, what are you going to see? When you take the top 1% of agents in the MLS, you're going to see that they're doing about 17.2% of all the volume. Now, I took transactions, you can see, you can look at the difference in the colors there, but volume's how we get paid. So let's pay attention to volume. The top 1% of agents are controlling 17.2% of the volume. The top 5% are controlling 37.4% of all the volume. That's bananas. When you look at this sample of the 5 of the biggest MLSs in the US as just a small sample size, you're talking about 5,600 agents essentially doing 37.4% of all the volume. It's bananas. And the top 10% controlling 51% the top 10% controlling more than half of the volume and transactions available right now in the US. That's bananas. And the top 25%, 73.5. Now, remember, you're talking about 1.6 million agents in the MLS, right? So you're talking about essentially 400,000 if you just took these numbers and say they're controlling 73.5% of all the volume. Now, you might be saying, why are you sharing this with me? It's a reminder of these 4 questions. First, where do you rank today? I think that's an important distinction. And I'm assuming a lot of you are watching this and you're competitive as I am, right? So where do you rank today? And where do you want to rank? But the bigger question is, do you see this trend changing? Do you see what, and you're not going to see it in the slides, but please write it down. It has been very obvious. Pre-COVID, we were seeing a decline in the amount of business from past clients and centers of influence. That was a decline for the last decade prior to the pandemic of March of 2020. That's an interesting thought. What we saw, though, during the pandemic was a massive flight to quality, specifically quality brands and quality people that we trust in an environment like that. And I bet every one of you watching saw the same thing, a massive lift in your past clients and centers of influence business. I don't see that trend changing, and I don't see the trend of the best agents getting better. I don't see that changing at all either. The third question, of course, is where do you want to rank? Especially as we sit here in July with 5 months left to go, or I think that's right, August through the rest of the year, as we already start to imagine where we want to be in 2023, right? Where do you want to rank? Do you want to be in the top 1, top 2, top 3, top 5? Are you already there? Do you want to be, one of my clients said, I want to be 0.1, like, the top 1% of the top 1%. Where do you want to be? But then ultimately, when you answer a question like that, it's like, well, what are the decisions that I need to make? Like, what's the reverse engineer plan? And that's really why Chris and the Ojo team brought me in today, because I'm going to talk to you about a spectrum of ways that you can drive even more business. And I'll be very frank with you. Like, my mindset right now is buck with a B, the recession, and double your business. Buck the recession and double your business. And I'm going to talk to you about a few of the strategies in less than 40 minutes here on how you can double your leads, double your referrals. And if we have time, double conversion, double your listings, all that and more. Like, that's what I see the best people doing right now. So I want to say to you, not in any motivational way, shape, or form, but whatever you're thinking about in terms of the amount of clients you want to serve, you need to be thinking bigger right now. You need to be thinking dramatically bigger. How can I scale and help even more clients? Because the flight to quality is very real right now. So with that said, clearly what got your business here, you probably discovered around 90 days ago, certainly 60 days ago. Going to have to make some changes if I want to have more business in 22, going to have to do some different things if I want to have more business in 2023. So this is just that reminder that a business that isn't constantly examined and re-examined is a business I would never want to invest in. And it's in most cases, a business that's doomed to fail. We must always be innovating, not innovation for innovation on behalf of what are the demands of customers and consumers today, and how can I deliver on that?